Hey everyone, today's matchup, Chicago Bulls versus Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz are the worst team in the league so far after 6 games. So the Bulls have a good chance of getting that victory tonight. If they don't, I will be really upset. This is the game where we should win. It's going to be at home, so at the United Center at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. And to watch the game is going to be on Chicago Sports Network. And then everybody in Utah is going to be K-Jazz. Everybody outside of Market, League Pass. And then for my Australian followers, BKR Sports on YouTube does live commentary. So if you want to listen to the game, he does a really good job there. He's also from Australia. For the radio, if you guys listen to the game in Chicago, it's 670 the score. And then Utah is 97.5. The odds for the first time all year, the Bulls are going to be the favorite in this game by overwhelming odds. It's minus 7.5. And then the over-under is 227.5. All right, the Bulls' record coming in here is going to be 3-3, and the Utah Jazz is 0-6. So the Bulls, they definitely should come up with this win. I think so. If we look at the last 5 games, the Bulls are kind of seesawing back and forth. You know, we won against the Bucks, where we should have lost that game, but the Bucks are actually doing really bad this year. And then we got Oklahoma that destroyed us, and then we came out and punched Memphis in the mouth at the end of the game. And Orlando, we had Jalen Suggs crying on the bench, so we came up with that win as well. And then Brooklyn, we played bad in Brooklyn. And to go through Brooklyn a little bit, Billy Donovan made some questionable calls, in my opinion. Like, the guys were hot, and he took them out again. So, like, Nikola Vucevic has been so consistent this year, and he was doing really good. And he made, like, 3 baskets in a row, including a 3 that forced the Brooklyn Nets to call a timeout. And then what happened in that timeout? Billy kept him on the bench. He never returned. I don't know why Billy has to go on scheduled times to sub. Like, why can't we just use the game and change accordingly to the game? Like, I get that there's minutes and stuff like that, but man, this was like, I believe, the second quarter. Man, it's tough. Billy's really tough on his rotations. I've never been a fan of them. He does not make good rotations. And I get guys get tired, right? But, like, you have to ride a hot hand. You have to ride the hot hand. And you also got to get the team to start, like, noticing that. And Billy did say at the postgame that they should get into Vooch. They missed him a few times. I got that. We don't have to feed Vooch every time. But, like, hey, when someone's getting hot, you need to feed them. Kobe White as well. He had a couple threes and then, boom, subbed. I didn't know why Billy does that. I think we should ride what works, and then after a while, okay, then let's sub them. But, like, right in the thick of it, when you're actually changing the game around, you're going to change it up? I don't know. Conversation for another day. If you look at the Utah Jazz last 5 games, they've lost every game. They are not a good scoring team. They are dead last in scoring this year. So hopefully the Bulls could keep them at that pace. They definitely played some fair teams. Sacramento Kings, the Golden State Warriors, which are doing really good this year. Denver, and Dallas. So they definitely have been playing some teams. The only team that they played against that they probably could have won is probably San Antonio Spurs. They could have beat San Antonio, but I don't know. But so they're 0-6 this year. Lauri Markkanen is their best player. If you look how they score, they're scoring 99.8 points. In the modern day, that's pretty low. The Bulls are at 113. Rebounding, the Bulls are still excelling really well there. They're averaging 50 rebounds per game. If we could keep that number 50 plus this whole year, that's a place where we could win games, because sometimes the games are really decided by those rebounds. I just wish the Bulls would, do a lot better job on the offensive rebounding. We don't have Andre Drummond no more. When Smith's in there, he does a really good job, though, with the offense rebound. He just doesn't play as many minutes. Assists per game, the Bulls are still doing pretty good, 27 assists per game compared to Utah's 21. Steals, they're kind of a wash, 7 for Utah, 6 for the Bulls, which is not great. The blocks, Utah does a little bit better job. They are averaging 6.2 blocks per game. And then the Bulls, they're lousy 3.2, which is dead last in the league. Turnovers is a problem for both teams. I would like to see the Bulls get back to what they were doing last year. They didn't really turn the ball over much, but it was much slower pace. Field goal percentage, 39% for Utah, which is awful, and then 43 for the Bulls, which is not the much better. The three-point line is where the Bulls are making their money this year. 38% from the three is a good clip to shoot from the three-point line. If we could shoot every game at 38%, we got a good chance of winning those games. And Utah is pretty bad at it, 28%. Clarkson shoots a lot of threes. He's going to probably be out tonight. So he is out, so that's not going to help them much. Free throw percentage, the Bulls have been really bad this year at free throws. They need to work on their free throws. A lot of it has to do with Josh Giddey. He's one of the ones going to the free throw line the most, and he's not converting them. The Bulls definitely have a lot of problems at the free throw line. If you look, too, at the defensive rating, the Bulls are actually 10th in defensive rating, even though they're not doing any steals or blocks. They're not even getting deflections, but they're keeping their man in front of them. They're not, allowing offensive rebounds. So this is what's keeping them in the defensive rating as well. Offensive rating, however, is another story. 21st. All we do on the four factors is score. We don't do anything else on there, so we are 21st. But the Utah Jazz are dead last in offensive rating. So hopefully they don't go on a scoring spree. Knowing the Bulls' luck, we'll probably give up a lot of points to Utah for some reason. So let's just look at a little bit of their rankings. Bulls are going to be first in the league in rebounds, as we discussed. That is a big plus. Assists dropped a little bit. They're 9th in assists. Three-pointers made, 4th, and three-pointers attempted, 3rd. And the percentage is 7th. So the three-point shot is changed this year, and it's being consistent. Being the top 5 and 10 is pretty good for the Chicago Bulls because we were like dead last and second to last in the last 3 years. Free throws attempted, we improved a little bit from the last couple games. So 21st, turnovers is still a big problem. 22nd, steals 27th, and blocks 30th. So I think the Bulls definitely need to do much better. But when you have a started lineup like we do that are more offensive oriented and not defensively, then that's going to be the case there. We definitely don't have any lockdown defenders in the starting lineup. Pace, we're still first. Possessions, we're 11th, but that's just because everybody else plays 7 games and we only play 6. Points, we're dropping. We're 17th. We had a couple of bad games, back-to-back games where we didn't score that much. Deflections, we don't get deflections. We're 29th in the league. And loose balls recovered. We did improve a little bit from 28th to 25th, but it's still a problem. We need to get those loose balls. We need to, start diving on the floor and trying for those. We definitely miss Alex Caruso in those areas right there. It's pretty much the areas where the Bulls are struggling at is a big hit from Alex Caruso because you could just see his impact on the Bulls last year and the year before because all these categories we were a lot better at, and we were top in the league in deflections, all stuff, but it was solely because of Alex Caruso and the way he plays. All right, so let's just go through a couple of the things for the injury report. We know about Lonzo Ball, so I won't get in that. Josh Giddey, he did get sick, non-COVID, but he's probably going to play today. Zach LaVine, this is a major one for me. This has been a question mark about his trade value and not just his contract, but his injury status. And his injury are piling up now. He doesn't just have a shoulder, but now he's got a hip problem as well. So he's a game-time decision. Zach does play through a lot, so I see him playing through. Smith, his knee he's still managing that. He got treatment over the last couple of games, so he a couple of days off, so he should be good to go. Patrick Williams is dealing with a shoulder injury. And then for the Utah Jazz, Clarkson is out. Collier is out. And then Hendricks as well. He's got a lower leg injury. And then Lauri Markkanen is their big one, right? They think he's going to be out today. We'll see. But it does have him listed as a game-time decision with his back. But I think he might be out today. So we'll see that. I'll send a comment in the bottom when I know his status or anybody else's status. Does that change? All right, the starters for the Bulls, Zach LaVine, Kobe White, Josh Giddey, Patrick Williams, and Nikola Vucevic. Nikola Vucevic has been our best player all year long. I've been saying that for the last 3 videos, and it's remained the same. And Nikola Vucevic has surprised everyone. But I'm going to do a video on him coming up. But you know what's funny is he's pretty much averaging the same stuff he averaged last year, just 3 more points per game. But like, man, the feel around him is much different nowadays because the stats are just stats. But when you watch the game, you could see kind of the impact that the players have on the game. And Nikola Vucevic's impact has been night and day different from last year, even though his stats are almost a wash besides the points. But every other category in the box score is pretty much similar to what he does the last few years or what he did. So, his impact and his style of play this year and the emphasis on the Bulls getting the ball into him in the paint, and then his three-point shooting, he's actually shooting more three-point shots this year, which is crazy because you don't see that because he's playing out of the post, and it's opening his three-point shooting up. So I really like what I see from Nikola Vucevic. I've been really, skeptic when it comes to him, and this year is much different. This is what I hoped when we got him, what we saw when we immediately made that trade. This is what we saw from him. He played in the post and worked his way out. And then the next year when DeMar came and, Alex Caruso, Lonzo Ball, that kind of changed a little bit how he played. But I love the way he's playing. And I watched the film back over again in detail. You could see people calling it out, like, pass the ball to him. No, here, I'll give you this ball. You're going to pass it into Nikola Vucevic. It's being, voiced out. Like, Josh Giddey's saying, passing it to Kobe, say, hey, feed the ball into Nikola Vucevic. They're letting everyone know they're going to give the ball to him. And he's been great. So, enough of that for Nikola Vucevic. He's just been good. He's been a big surprise. What is not a surprise is Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams, man, he's struggling, man. He's struggling. He needs to find his role. It doesn't matter who's on the team. He's not aggressive. This dude's averaging 7.2 points per game. He's a 4th overall pick with such a huge potential. But at this point, where is the potential? Where is his ceiling? I don't know anymore. Patrick Williams definitely plays much better with the second unit. He plays much better. He did last year when they put him to the bench, and then this year when he got some time with other guys, he did really well. So I just think that he needs to come off the bench. I don't think his defense is as good as Billy makes it out to be that keeps him in the starting lineup, because I get that he could play decent defense, but it's not good defense. It's not good at all. If you look at his defense numbers, it's pretty bad throughout his career. And I don't know what they're talking about, how good a defender he is. So I'm not sure about that. Josh Giddey, he had a little tough game last game, but he's still averaging 8 rebounds per game. This is the number that sticks out to me. And I can see that number even going up more. Vucevic is kind of boxing out for him to even get the ball. And Vucevic is averaging 11 rebounds. So he's also giving up a bunch of rebounds to these guards. And you could see in the numbers, Zach LaVine is averaging 5.5 rebounds, and Kobe's averaging 4, which is his normal, and then Giddey with 8. It's awesome, And Patrick Williams, his career year in rebounds right now, 5.8, which is sad to say from a power forward. But I do like Kobe's game. Kobe's starting to be more consistent the last couple of games. We'll look to that continue against Utah. They don't have really good defenders. Colin Sexton is not the best. I don't think so. So I think Kobe's definitely, they're both fast, but I think Kobe's he always plays against Sexton good. But for the Utah, they're struggling throughout the board. If you look at their starting lineup here, they're not really scoring much, and they're not really rebounding much. They got Walker Kessler, which is in the starting lineup if Laurie's out. He's averaging probably the best of the team, 9.7, 11.2 rebounds. If this is your best player, they're definitely going to go for Cooper Flag this year. So, I don't know. It's tough for Utah. I think they are in a full rebuild, and that's what they want to do. And speaking of the rebuild, the Bulls' rebuilding processes was drafting Matas Bazel. And he's gotten a lot of heat so far because he really hasn't done well. In the minutes he's gotten, he hasn't really done well. He hasn't really took his opportunity and ran with it. But the thing is, he's not really playing much either. So it's hard to get comfortable. So with him, I think he just needs to find his groove, and Billy needs to find some minutes for him, which looks unlikely at this point. He did get sent to the G League. He just came from the G League. I don't really like that he got sent there, but then I found out that he just was there to scrimmage, and then he's coming back. So it was like a false alarm. So I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he's getting some opportunity with the Bulls, so at least, and the Windy City Bulls to practice so he can stay fresh. If you look at Casey Johnson's report and stuff, he talked with Matas as well. So good to see him back. Hopefully he gets to play against Utah tonight. Hopefully he could have a breakout game because we're all waiting for it. Let me know what you guys think about the game, and any feedback you think about the channel will be much appreciated as well. I'll see you on the recap and the highlights. Go Bulls.